The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Well, you're looking at traits. And remember when he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate.
Former Bears scouting director Greg Gabriel talks football live every week on the Barroom Network. Also available on demand.
Look, I think it's a good time to be a Chicago Bears fan. There's a lot to be excited about. But let me tell you something. We are past the point of excuses. If things go sour, you have used up all of the patience that Chicago has to offer.
The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Here we go, Barflies. Welcome to the Barfly Tailgate post-game show, the first one of its kind. This week, we're in London. Usually, you see my face before the game and our faces before the game. But this week, where it started so early, I was like, Aldo, look, man, we can do a pregame show, but I think it'll work out better if we just do a post-game show. So here we are. Bears go to London and beat down the Jags. It was a quote unquote home game for the Bears, and at first I was like, well, the Jags always travel there, so they got to, obviously they're going to have a huge crowd. But C-Dub, you and your countrymen showed out and showed up for this Chicago Bears team, and let me just get your thoughts on just the Bears being in London, first of all. Obviously, we'll get to the game and all that later, but how did it feel to have the Chicago Bears in your backyard today?
It feels amazing. It feels quite humbling. Obviously I'm watching the game, and I reckon 8% of that crowd were Bears fans, and the British Bear fans did the Bears, absolutely a fantastic job. It's just when I were a kid, I would have never thought they'd be playing regular season games in the UK, and I know this is like the third time the Bears come over, and it's just sort of, I find it quite emotional, man, because they're on my turf, they're in my country, and it was so great seeing the atmosphere created by the British Bears fans, for the game. I mean, one of the best atmospheres I've seen for one of the international games, and the fans did us proud, man. They really did, and the team, played up to the atmosphere, and it was an awesome thing to watch.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it was crazy in there. I don't know if it was quite English soccer crazy because
Oh, no, definitely
that's,
not.
that's insane. But it was. I mean, the atmosphere looked great. It looked like they had a home field advantage, which I did not expect. Honestly, I kept hearing all week, yeah, there's a ton of Bears fans in London, but I was like, yeah, but. I mean, we know the Jags go there every year at this point for the last decade, so I would assume that they have or are growing a fan base up there. But my man too coming in, we sent the invite to KB. I'm not sure if he's working today or what he's got going on. He may pop in if he gets a chance. So that's where KB is this morning or this afternoon. But Tooch, what'd you think about the Bears in London and the whole deal today?
Well, I'm super happy to be 4-2 heading into a bye. You know, that's what we wanted. You know, we got it. When we play bad teams, you know, this is something I said in Bears State of Affairs, is that the Bears are finally treating bad teams like good teams treat them by beating the hell out of them.
Yes.
You know, so like it does feel a bit strange because we haven't done this for quite a while. And then today was really a great confidence booster for our rookie quarterback. He really played a good game. Started off shaky with some questionable play calling. And I want to ask you guys, I don't know if you heard the news story about the Bears not scripting their first 15 plays, which, you know, that's kind of common in the NFL for teams to, you know, script out the first 15 plays. You know, they want to. The Bears don't really do that, and it kind of showed today. If I had to guess, I would say they didn't script the first 15 plays. You know, and then you know, I was a little upset with the Eberflus because the Jaguars were blitzing the hell out of us on third down. We were setting 4-man rush, you know, and dropping a bunch into coverage. They're picking apart the zone. But, you know, the Tampa 2, the Eberflus runs force the Jaguars into some mistakes, which is what the idea behind the defense is. Make them march down the field. They were at the beginning of the game, it was a little closer. They were finding the holes in the zone and marching down the field. I mean, the whole first quarter was burned on one big long drive by the Jaguars. Fortunately, we held them to a field goal. And then, you know, I didn't text with many folks, but I did text with Anthony today, and he was like, Caleb has to start using his legs to break this defense, and that's exactly what happened. You know, he made some big runs, dude, which is like, I hate to use the Mahomes-esque, but I mean, he does look a lot like Mahomes when he does stuff like that.
I got to be honest. Obviously, I love the Bears playing in London. It was a great game. It was awesome, as you said, Tooch, to watch our football team finally treat a bad team. And they've done this for 2 weeks in a row now. When you play a bad team, make them look like a bad team, you know, for years and years. I mean, heck, this year, the Colts, we played the Colts. That was not a good team, but we let them stick around long enough, and they made enough plays at the end of the day to give us an L on our record, which we really, as you know, if you talked about at length with our schedule, we really needed to stack wins at the beginning of the season. So if that comes into play later in the year, that'll be something to talk about. I did have an issue, though, with and I like Kurt Warner. I respect him. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I like Rich Eisen as a guy as well, you know, as a talk show guy. The way they called the game today, it looked sloppy. They seemed jet lagged. There was one time where I was watching them talk about Walker coming off the edge for the Jaguars, and it's clearly they're going off the number, but it's clearly a big number 44. And they said, well, here's Josh Hines Allen coming off the edge, and he was talking about having a quarterback that holds onto the ball, blah, 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 and went on this huge long tangent about a guy that wasn't even the guy. Like, Josh Allen's wore 41 since he was here at Kentucky in college. So it was just, it seemed jumbled and not really put together great. Did you guys have an issue with the broadcast as well, or am I being a nitpicker?
It just felt a bit. I mean, with Richard Eisen, he just felt like a bit flat, a bit sort of. It was a bit like he just sort of went through the motions a little bit. I think he's a really good presenter, and I enjoy when he does stuff on NFL Network. But I wouldn't really say he brought much sort of passion to his commentary really. And I agree with you. I didn't really think about it because I was sort of so much into the game, but now you mentioned it, it was a bit sort of flat, a bit like they were just going through the motions and all that sort of thing. But just my sort of thing regarding the start of the game was when our offense come out, why were we running out of huddle? When last week we were playing no huddle and like a little shallow huddle, then we played really well. And it's sort of that. I don't know if that like took Kaliba out of his sort of zone, but that first sort of quarter, our offense was just fucking terrible. It was like back to like week one, and I just kept going, "Why aren't you doing the things that worked the previous week?" And it worked so well. And then as soon as I did that, he started getting a bit of rhythm because not only before the snap, it gives him a chance to look at the defense as well. Then we started getting a bit of rhythm, and then we started getting success. And I know they started mixing it, but I think we should sort of stick to that the majority of the time, that sort of no huddle offense. Obviously, if you want to like near the end of the game, you try to like play the game out so you don't want to rush with your snaps and all that. But for the start of the game, to see how successful it was last week, I was baffled, mate. I was absolutely baffled.
They definitely. I mean, the no huddle when it's working, and they said that obviously they're going to use the no huddle if they catch the defense in like their base defense, so that they can keep those guys on the field, so you can take advantage of matchups and stuff. Taurine makes a huge thing here about the national media had Bears on upset alert. I was watching the pregame show the NFL Network put on. And even one of the women who were, I think her name was Colleen. She was like, "I've been calling the Bears all week, but this morning I'm changing my pick to the Jaguars." And I was like, what changed in this morning's pregame show that changed your mind on? But I was totally fine. I love being the underdog. I mean, if we're Bears fans, we love the underdog story, right? I mean, you got the big bad Green Bay Packers of all the time. So we love the underdog story. Matthew Fulchese here talking about Caleb almost had a 5 touchdown game. I know. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and introduce a new segment that we're doing here on the Barfly Tailgate Show, because Javon Dexter has been putting on a good game lately. He's been putting things together. He cut off the honey buns as you put up there, Tooch. But
gave up the honey bun.
When he makes a sack, I started to notice that he does this thumbs up. He's like that's his sack dance. So I decided we're going to take that and we're going to have the Barfly Tailgate Show thumbs up player of the game. And I'll let you go ahead and start us off, Chris, if you want to give us your thumbs up player of the game. Who really blew you away and you think obviously like this is the reason that we won?
I mean, mine's such an obvious choice, but it's Caleb Williams. He started off really shaky. That interception was a pretty weak pass. He put far too much air in it, and if he'd have put it a little bit further towards the pylon, then he would have got the catch. But the four touchdowns for a rookie, how he can control the no huddle as well is absolutely awesome, and also as well how he used his feet as well. At one point he was definitely the leading rusher for the Bears, and I thought, apart from the interception, I thought he had an absolutely fantastic game, especially that pass. The touchdown pass where he threw it over the guy's shoulder. I think it was to Keelan Allen. That was just a thing of fucking beauty, man. I was just so pumped. And he just keeps taking his strides. Do you know what I mean? He's just getting better and better every game. And that's what you want to see out of a rookie. You couldn't really ask for any more out of the kid, you know what I mean? So, yeah, he's my obvious choice for the player of the game. Or the thumbs up tailgate.
I kind of gave you the softball toss for the thumbs up player of the game today. I mean, I loved, just like you said, like Fulchese said, it should have been a 5 touchdown game. If he'd hit DJ Moore instead of floating it. That's 5 touchdowns. I read onto now this is on X, so I haven't done the research, but it said that he's the first ever Bears rookie quarterback to throw 4 touchdowns in a game. I don't know how true that is, but like I said, sources are X, some guy on X, so take that for what you will. But yeah, he looked great, and just like you said, the way he was able to escape the pocket, he saw those defensive ends really slamming down into the running back, and he just pulls it out and just goes around the edge, and I'm like, let's go. That's what you read that defensive end, and if you've got it there to do, you're a smart enough player to make that play. And that kind of leads us right into who Tooch maybe who's your thumbs up player of the game today.
Well, I mean, I was talking with Anthony too by text. I was like, man, I hope they figure out they got to use Komet in this game. And man, nice touchdown where he fully stretched out. Had another touchdown later. First of all, that first touchdown to Komet, that was a beautiful play. Fake left, fake right, and there's Komet, leaking out down straight out, and then tried to run over to his defender. And then stretch out. None of that, but he had a long snap too because Scott Bailey got injured. So yeah, he did a great job because there was really no mess up. I know Cairo Santos missed a field goal, but it wasn't because of the long snap.
Yeah, the snap was there. Yeah, yep. We learned actually this week. I think Cole Kmet has a show on CHGO called The 85. And That's he right. talks about being the backup sniper. And he was like, maybe at the end of my career, when I'm tired of getting all these hits as a tight end, I'll go. He kind of said it tongue in cheek. I'll go in and be the long sniper. But, buddy, I think you got her to do. I mean, that's how we talk down here. I mean, he could have a Patrick Manley type career if he decides to move inside and be a long snapper after he's tired of getting his legs taken out from under him. But, yeah, I mean, the first touchdown catch where he's running over his defender. I mean, beautiful pass by Caleb again. I mean, if he floats that, the safety's right there. So he's got to hit it, and it's got to be precise pass, right there on the money. And he hits it, and Cole Kmet does what Cole Kmet does. He never goes down off the first hit. Past years, that's hurt Kmet as far as fumbling, because after he breaks a couple tackles, then they start to go for the ball. But he seemed to have gotten that under control, and he's a leader on this team. A Chicago kid, grew up cheering for the Bears. That's why he wears 85. He just it's hard to not root for that guy. He's definitely there. Now, before we came on, you guys obviously were talking Caleb and Kmet, and I was like, man, I really want to give it to a defensive guy because this defense stepped up and played really well today. It's hard for me to choose just one because so many guys were out there making plays, but I think I'm going to give it to Tremaine Edmonds because he's really the general in the middle of that defense. We talked to Andrew Billings this offseason, and he talked about who the leaders of this defense is. Obviously, Montez Sweat is the name that popped up, but the next name out of his mouth was, he said Maine, which is Tremaine Edmonds, who's in the middle of this field. He's your field general. He's the guy who can play deep or hit you in your mouth. I mean, there was one catch, I think Etienne caught it in the first quarter, first half for sure. And Edmonds is bringing him to the ground, and he punches the ball out. They go to review, and they say that, he wasn't making a football move. The guy caught the ball and turned upfield. I don't know what the defender is supposed to do, like wait. I don't understand it, but Tremaine Edmonds showed up and showed out and played really well. And if I have to pick just one guy, I'm just going to give it to the leader of the defense, But I mean, the defense was great. The special teams was great. Cole Kmet, like you said, making long, not only as a tight end, but a long snapper was fantastic. It's exciting to be a Bears fan, guys. Yeah. We have a quarterback.
Jalen Jones had 10 tackles filling in for Tyreek Stevenson.
Wow.
Yeah, I know he was at the end of the game. He looked like he was close to making a play on the ball. They were kind of hitting us early of those out routes. Yeah. But we got that tuned up, and our defense showed up, after
sorry, I mean, I tell you what's really exciting. It's like the second game we've had a complete team performance. It's not just been the defense or the offense, and that's the bit that really excites me because I just can't remember over the last couple of years that we've ever had that. Do you know what I mean? It's always been one off, so it's usually been the defense.
Right.
And, like you just said then, AFC, special teams played great, D played great, offense played great. I mean, what is your opinion about the offensive line, how they played today? I'd love to hear it from you guys, what you think about the O-line play.
I was worried early. I know Swift was having some trouble finding some holes. I know there was one play, I think it was 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, where they were running with Roschon and Braxton Jones was laying down in the middle of the hole, so he got his butt kicked on that play. But overall, I think the running game is helping this offensive line a lot to gel and to get better because they're able to disguise a lot of the things that they're doing because the running game is working. So the running game works. You get Caleb under center. You run some play action and maybe speeding up so that defense stays on the field. Those defensive linemen start to get tired after a while. And I think that's helping our offensive line out a lot. So some of it is coaching. Some of it is just our offensive line starting to gel. There was late in the game, DeAndre Swift kind of gets a helmet on the ball and fumbles it, and Tevin Jenkins is right there to drop on it. How many times as Bear fans have we seen that and been like, "Oh God, here it goes"? It starts to go the other way. So, but yeah, I mean, this offensive line, they took the criticism. They all they did was go back to work, man. That's all I can ask as a football fan. All I can ask is for my offensive line to go back to work, go back to the lab, as they say, lift the weights and do your job. And I'm really impressed with what I've seen out of them. And as we saw last week, if Tevin goes down, I'm okay with Bill Murray going in there. I mean, he was out there being, as our former co-host would say, he was out there being a glass eater when they did have to call on him against the Panthers. He just out there just cracking heads and doing his job. I feel like this team is really starting to gel, but it's not without everything's not rosy. Like at the start of the game, I was upset, but I'll get more into that. Tooch, what do you think of the offensive line, man?
Yeah, I mean, getting the running game going was definitely a help. I know that Josh Hines Allen, I know it was Josh Allen before, right? So he separates himself from the quarterback of the Bills. But
his whole family has been going by Hines Allen for years.
Okay.
And he just changed it this year. But yeah, it's a former Kentucky Wildcat,
right.
Josh Hines Allen. So
you get a new contract this season. Was free agent.
Yeah.
I know they talked about the Bears trying to acquire him. Would have been a nice get because he kind of gave Braxton Jones a lot of fits during this game, man. He was trouble for the Bears offensive line. A little some of the pressure bothered me. It was on, especially in the first half. After this second half, they got down, the Jaguars got down too far for it to matter. But that was one thing that bothered me with some of that pressure. But Caleb was able to break the pass rush and made some big plays with his leg that really broke the game open.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because then those defensive ends, they can't just pin their ears back and come.
Yep.
They got to know, hey, this guy can take it. Now he's no Justin Fields. I wouldn't be.
No.
I wouldn't. But what he does do, as you said, Mahomes-esque. He's running and showing athleticism, but his eyes are still downfield.
His eyes are still downfield.
If a linebacker comes up to make a tackle, he is perfectly fine with
he
just
knows where
dumping it
guys
over
are.
his head.
He has got supreme confidence in his arm too.
Oh,
he whistled a pass in between like double coverage into Keenan Allen.
Yes.
It was only a little tiny hole where only Allen could get it, and then perfect placement on the Allen touchdown. I think it was the first touchdown over the top. Might have been the second touchdown. I think it was the second touchdown over the top of a defender where only Allen could get it.
Yeah, and typically I hate that play, the goal line fade. I hate that play when a play caller makes that. But he was able to make it work. I mean, I was looking for the mini fridge package to come in. I was looking for Doug Kramer, but they went with the to get Allen involved, which good for them. I mean, they saw Allen was kind of struggling to start the year, and he started to come on. And in this game, they were like, "Look, we could take advantage of this matchup, I believe." And
some of the Jaguars, those crossing routes were giving us fits in the first quarter. Would have liked to have seen us kind of get into some of those, crossers and take advantage of the middle of the field against the Jaguars, because that was really open, in this game.
And Darby Allen for the Jaguars was definitely holding on every play, I guess, because they gave us some breaks. Later in the game when we were trying to pull away, we had some 3rd and longs, and they were just like, well, just make this guy hold you. DJ Moore went down for a minute, which scared me, but it seemed like he was okay. I saw him on the sideline at the end of the game talking to Caleb. So he seems. I mean, you come out of London unscathed, like you said. Tooch, we get to go into our bye week 4-2, feeling good about our team overall. Shane Waldron has put a lot of the, I would say a lot of the compliment or a lot of the issues to bed, but we're still, and like you said, Tooch, we found out this week that they didn't have pre-scripted plays that everyone does, but they finally have in the last few weeks. But that's the only issue I've had is the slow starts. I think at one point in this game we had 6 plays for 7 yards, and the Jaguars had already gone down the field on a scoring drive, which, by the way, one of the big catches hit the ground when the guy caught it, and he gets up and run. He runs, and Eberflus, I don't know if he's got his head in his play sheet or what's going on, but you got to throw that challenge flag there. It's crazy to me that Eberflus will throw the challenge flag when a guy clearly makes a catch right in front of him, but he won't throw it when a ball is clearly on the ground. I don't understand it. You're in your 3rd year, Coach. These rookie mistakes as a coach should be cleaned up by now. Am I right or wrong, Tooch?
Yeah, I agree. He should have thrown the flag on that Thomas catch. It looked like to me like he used the ground to help him finish the catch. And then I don't know whether it's his upstairs play, the upstairs review team, didn't get the information that he needed to him in time. I don't know.
I don't know what it was, but even the crowd was reacting to some of those bad plays. Chris.
Yeah. I'll just quickly say I'm so happy for Kieran Allen to get his touchdowns, man. And it just made me sort of realise how good a route runner he is. And he can get himself free in like really small spaces, like he did, when he got his touchdowns in the end zone. So I'm really happy for him, man, because I like going a little bit. Has he just dropped off, or is this injury really worse than what we're letting on? So is he never going to really able to get into the season? And I'm so glad he did, because obviously DJ took a knock. So we're hoping we need somebody to sort of take his place. But yeah, it was just awesome, mate, to watch it. And it was just awesome. It was just awesome seeing the British crowd, mate. I know I mentioned it before, but it was just like, the reason why the Bears are a big sport is that a lot of people got into the Bears in the 80s like I did. And I could tell by the sort of average age of the Bears fans when they were panning the camera over, you could tell a lot of guys were in the 40s and 50s. And like, people have stuck with the Bears for all them years, even though we've been terrible and we've had ups and downs. And they really sort of did us proud, man. I was so sort of proud of the British Bear fans at the game. And you can tell that, we are quite knowledgeable about the rules as well, like I can remember the first start of the international series. I mean, the commentators were like making out like we didn't even know anything about the sport. Do you know what I mean? And some of us have been into the sport since the 80s and played well. So it was just great to see that, the crowd were into it and they knew what, they knew when to cheer and boo and all that sort of thing. And it was such a complete sort of team sort of win. That's the bit what gets me. I know I mentioned before, but that's the bit that really gets me excited. It's just we're not having to lean on one unit. Everybody's playing up, and especially like with the injuries we had in the defensive backfield and Brisker being out, then Gordon got shows that we've got some proper depth to this squad, which is a revelation because we usually don't. Usually if one of our starters goes out and that's it, we're fucked. But that really impressed me how the backups played as well.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the British people understanding the rules. There was a play where Roma Dunze catches a first down and his helmet dang near gets pulled off, and there's no flag for a face mask. Even the commentators were like, I don't think he got him there. I'm like, the helmet's at the top of his head. How does that happen if they don't touch his face mask? I don't. Another complaint about the commentators, but that's neither here nor there. Muck the general here says, love the way the D played against the run today. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, the Jaguars, while they weren't winning many games, they did have a good running game. I mean, there was a game against the Dolphins where they were in a commanding lead, and then Etienne fumbles it. They punched the ball out and changed that game around. And then last week, Tank Bigsby went absolutely off against the Colts. So the defense stepped up and did their jobs, stopping the D, stopping the run, forcing Trevor to make throws into tight windows. And I was proud of the way the secondary stood up. Now, hopefully Brisker makes it back in a couple of weeks, and Tyreek Stevenson's injury is not that big. Like I said, we got the bye week, so they got an extra week to heal up. I do, though, and I feel like I'm alone in this. Tua Tagovailoa just had his third concussion in like 2 years, 3 years. Yeah. Brisker is dealing with the same thing, but no one seems to talk about it. They're just like, yeah, he's out with a concussion, blah, blah, blah. But with Tua, people are talking about this guy should hang up his cleats due to safety. But Brisker, it's his third concussion in 3 years. Now, we're going to need him in a couple of weeks. We got Jaden Daniels. I don't know if we go to Washington or if they come here, but we're going to need a really good secondary and maybe someone to spy on Jaden when he tries to run out of the way. Am I crazy, though, to think maybe Jaquan Brisker should start thinking about his health with the way he just runs through people with reckless aggression? I mean, that's what you want out of a safety, but at the same time, you got to start thinking about your own health. Chris, you look like you want to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Brisker, and I've mentioned this probably since he's been at the Bears. It's just get a bit more into your form tackling. Do you know what I mean? But he'll go in with a big hit with his shoulder, which obviously usually means that he's getting a big shot to his head as well. And I'm not on about, wrapping up doesn't mean that you can't give out a big hit. It really doesn't, you know what I mean? And if you just learn a bit more how to wrap up, take his head out of the contact, maybe like we're doing in rugby where obviously you don't wear helmets. So you've got to put your head behind the guy's arse, basically. And just maybe the coaching just needs to say, look, try these sort of methods of tackling. I know everything's good at such 100 miles an hour on the field, but just try and do a bit more form tackling rather than always going in with your head and shoulder. But yeah, I mean, it is quite scary, isn't it? I mean, he's such a young guy, and you think, well, is this going to really sort of hit him in 10 years' time when he's retired? Is he going to get some after effects? Is it? I mean, you've heard of numerous NFL players who have really suffered from concussions, and even players who have committed suicide because it's caused them so much health problems.
Junior Seau shot himself in the chest so they could look at his brain.
And you just thought that maybe he just changed his tackling style so he can just take his head out of the contact a little bit.
Yeah, and I know Tommy Tremble got fined for that. I guess the way he took on the play, I noticed it as soon as the hit happened. He looked like he was asleep after that play. I mean, he fumbles the ball, his eyes are closed. So obviously, I'm assuming the NFL saw that it was something that Trimble did that caused that issue. But yeah, I mean, it's just scary, and it'll be something to watch going forward. Tooch, what's do you think we're out of line on our thoughts on? And don't get me wrong, I love Jaquan Brisker. I've got his jersey for I've got the number 9 jersey, Brisker. So it's not like I'm just hating on the guy. I start to worry about this guy's these guys' futures. Otis Wilson, Bears legend,
Dave Duerson,
has talked about if they had it to do over again, they wouldn't. Duerson
killed himself, right?
I know Junior Seau did. He was a linebacker that played for the Chargers when I was growing up, and he shot himself in the chest so they could look at his brain.
That's what Duerson did too, right? Did he shoot himself in the chest?
Oh, really? I don't know.
I don't remember. Somebody did. I can't remember who did, but
I know Julius said did it. Yeah, like AC mentioned. You know, I mean, you imagine, you know, you must be in such a bad way with your mental health that, you know, you're actually going to go, right, I'm going to shoot myself in the chest so that I can examine my brain. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I know they get paid a load of money and it's, you know, and it's a great game to play, but, you know, you got to think of your health at some point, haven't you, really? I wonder
maybe Brisker should wear that Guardian cap. I mean, that's the reason that they put these into play. And I know people like you're laughing right now, Chris, but I've seen it. And Josh Hines Allen, who we just watched, I don't know if he wore it this week, but last week when he played the Colts, he was wearing the Guardian helmet. Because those guys at the line of scrimmage, you know, they're banging all day long. But maybe that's something to look at.
They fined Tommy Tremble for that when he and Brisker collided. That's where they both got concussions on that play.
Yeah, and Brisker finished the game too. Like how does that?
Yeah, you know, if you watch the replay of that hit, Brisker was walking off the field like there were players around him. He looked like he didn't know where he was going. You know, like he's walking. He's like, "Oh, I'm in a game on a field." You know, but yeah, I would. The helmet for Brisker definitely. I mean, just the concussions, man. You really have to think about that if you're the player. You know, of just the quality of life post game. Post career.
I mean, when you're 24, 25, you're not thinking about, you know, what's my life going to be like when I'm 40. But sometimes you got to take your safety into your own hands. And
Tagovailoa's had so many.
Yeah,
and his are so scary every time it happens because his hands do like this, and it's terrifying to me as a at the time as a father who had, you know, my son played football. I was like, you know, I don't know, but
I had one concussion when I played from a kickoff. Somebody sort of hit me at the side of the helmet, and it's a horrible feeling, man, because it's not only a sort of headache, you feel sick, you feel so drowsy. I mean, obviously I kept playing, I didn't come off, but I mean, back in the 80s, man, you know what I mean, when we didn't care, but
put that smelling salt in there and let him go.
Oh, yeah. It was just a wet sponge slapped to my face, and that were it. But, yeah, I mean, it's quite a sickening sort of feeling. I remember, like, felt quite sick for a couple of days and felt really odd. So, yeah, I just hope he can just sort of just take his head out of the contact a little bit. But he's an awesome player, and you don't want him to change his style too much because it could alter his playing standards and what he can give to the team.
That's true. I was a little surprised though that they went with Elijah Hicks as his backup instead of Jonathan Owens. I feel like Jonathan Owens is more the hard-hitting safety and Hicks is more the free safety. Like I feel like he would be a Byard backup, but I mean it worked. You know, we won the game, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining too much. You know, but it is good. It is nice to have these gripes and complaints off of a win to try and fix these things rather than coming off of a loss. You know,
see, do you remember when we had, you know, the season where we literally lost about 12 games in a row over like 2 seasons, and how hard it was to get yourself pumped up to do the shows? Even though, you know, we all still had a good time, but the subject matter were getting quite sort of like the same every week because we were just losing.
I think that year we started looking at the draft about this time, right? Or maybe earlier.
I thought this is like September, and AC must have done at least a couple hundred, you know, draft picks. But it's just really nice to sort of be positive. Like this is like the third winning victory Monday in a row. And it's such a great way to start a week off, man, compared to the crap what we had to put up with when Eberflus first come in. And, when they were tanking, it was so obvious and depressing and annoying. And now maybe we had to take that bitter taste of the medicine, and maybe we're getting the great after effects of going through that hard time, and hopefully, Paul's now his plans start to come together a bit.
Yeah, the only bad thing about it though, as well as our team's doing, our entire division is playing well. I mean, we're tied with Green Bay, or actually, we just passed them this morning, I guess. But Matthew Fochese says they're up 7-0 right now, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. The Lions play the Cowboys, who I can't tell if they're good or bad, and the Vikings. Are they on a bye this week? Do they give everyone a bye coming out of London, I'm assuming?
I think so, yes. Yes, it will be, yeah.
So Vikings stay put, but they are undefeated, and they seem to have found some magical potion to bring Sam Darnold back from the dead, which we thought he was after trips to New York and Carolina. But, I mean, our whole division is incredible, and I'm just excited. All I can do is worry about what we've got going on. And
Aldo loaded some clips here. He's got the press conference. Do you want me to
load me up, dude?
That we had some injuries. The DBs that came in there, Blackwell came in the middle of the game for Kyler. And obviously Jalen Jones did a nice job. Elijah Hicks did a nice job coming in there, and that's the partnership they have with their coaches. The coaches got them ready to go. We're always ready to go in terms of the depth part of it, and that's a good job of coaching those guys as well, but really good job of playing. A couple guys had really good games. Obviously, Caleb had a nice game. I always look at the QBR, and man, that was good. It was in the 120s again. Really good, solid work there by him in terms of distributing the ball to Cole. Cole had some really nice catches, a couple of touchdowns. First man in the history of ball to get 2 touchdowns and snap it right afterward. Maybe, I don't know. But then Keenan made some really nice catches out there, some tight windows. And, I thought our D-line really rushed well today, got some really good pressures in there. Linebackers, those guys are always playing hot, so it's a good day by all of them. And then working into the bye week, so we got the bye week here. Guys will come in, we'll evaluate this game, get it all cleaned up, and those guys really need to do a good job of taking care of their minds, their bodies, and their spirits to come back for our next rack of games that we have leading into this schedule.
I mean, yeah, I forgot about Blackwell making that play at the end of the game. He comes in for Kyler Gordon. Hopefully Kyler Gordon's good to go. Like I said, another blessing that we're going into the bye week to get healthy. We knew our secondary was kind of the strength of this team as far as depth goes, and it's showing that we needed it, obviously. But yeah, I mean,
so one thought I've been having is obviously near the end of the season, that's when it's going to be really hard football because we've got our divisional games. And I'm just hoping that we just, hopefully and pray that we don't get any injuries and Caleb just keeps improving. And then by the time we get to our divisional games, then hopefully we'll be running at full speed and offense. And then that'll be to me, that'll be the true test of how much we've improved as a team compared to last year when we play that. It's probably like the last quarter of the season, really. That's going to be the big test, and especially if, like we say, it's probably the toughest division in the NFL, the NFC North. So it's good. That'll be. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the next game against Washington, and that could be quite fascinating. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, playing our division at the end of the year, I liked it because, like you said, I'd much rather do that than playing Green Bay week 1 and coming out of preseason where we barely play anybody to live bullets, and all of a sudden, and this counts double because it's your division and your division rival. But next the next matchup, already know what it's going to be. It's number 1 versus number 2. We've been hearing it for weeks as Bears fans. The Bears picked the wrong quarterback. Why? A, why can't both guys be good? And B, I mean, we saw it today, man. Our guy threw 4 touchdowns. He's getting better week after week after week. And shout out to Jaden Daniels. He's good too, man. I don't understand why we live in this world where it's got to be one or the other. It's got to be you're great or you're terrible. There's no in between. There is no gray area. I think both of these quarterbacks are really good, and it's good for both of these organizations. I mean, for as bad as we've had it, Washington has been through the ringer too. I mean, they had to change their whole name. They thought they finally had it with RG3, and then he starts getting injuries. But yeah, I mean, in a couple of weeks, that's going to be a huge thing. I don't know when schedule shift, like when they can change the schedule. I don't know what week that starts, but man, that feels like a Sunday night football game to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but Tooch, what do you think about Eberflus's comments? And then if you want to talk a little about the schedule too.
Yeah, it's nice to come out of the bye and have 2 weeks to prepare for Jaden Daniels. That'll be a definite help. Flus, I've got other clips too. I was like, Flus, he mentioned Komet. I've got Komet here after this.
Yeah. Let's hear from Komet if you want to.
What was weirder, being on long snapping today or being that open for the first touchdown?
Yeah, definitely not a position I envisioned playing in the NFL ever. But you got to do what you got to do. There's only so many guys you can dress on game day, and only so many guys they can have on the roster. So you got to have somebody that can be the emergency, and I'm that guy reluctantly at times. But I get my 2 or 3 snaps in on Thursday, and we go to Sunday, and it's always my biggest worry going to the game. And hopefully Scott's doing all right and everything heals up okay. But just glad I could go out there and just provide something for the team in that regard.
Cole, how did you wind up with that duty?
Someone found out that I did it in high school. These guys know everything about you. So they found out I did it in high school. My uncle did it. And I remember my dad, me and my brother would be messing around doing it in the backyard all the time. And it was just kind of like a more you can do thing. And, thinking like if you ever needed to make a team, if you're a guy that's, the 54 or 55 guy and they're deciding between 2 guys that, having that ability, they're going to keep you on the roster for those type of things. And, obviously I'm not in that position right now, but that was kind of the mindset of learning how to do it. And, I wanted to play in the NFL one day, and that was kind of the thing behind it, and paid off today, I guess. So I was glad that I could just help out where I could.
First of all, I love that freaking hoodie. I feel like I'm about to hop on Fanatics right now and try to find
one
it.
Of those too, yeah.
Secondly, shout out to Komet's family, man. I mean, I did the same thing with Scotty. I was like, look, you got to learn how to snap because you never know when they're gonna call on you to do it. So that's crazy that he's like, they know obviously they're doing their homework during before they draft you. Smart guy, goes to Notre Dame. He's got everything lined up for him. And I mean, like I said earlier, if he gets tired of taking the hits of a tight end, he can move inside to long snapper because his snaps were there. They were good. They were where they need to be. That's the craziest thing. He didn't skip them or throw them high or nothing. Knock on wood. If they need to continue with him, that goes good. But I think they'll bring in another long snapper. And if this guy's hurt for a while, they'll bring someone else in. But I mean,
I can imagine him saying, "Hey, can you do it for another couple games?" Daly will probably be back after the break.
Or is Patrick Scales out for the whole year? Or
might be due back after 8 games or 8 weeks or whatever. I got Caleb on his touchdown passes. If you guys want to hear that.
Oh, please.
All right.
Yeah, so throughout the week you watch film, and they're backers and things like that. They're good backers, but I think team-wise they're fast flow, and so they fly around, and so we had a bunch of mismatch and kind of having Keenan run around and then back go here and then cold bluff and then go down the seam. So offensive line. Keenan, all these guys, they did a great job. All I had to do was throw a layup to Cole down the seam and, let them do the rest. So, to everybody else, it was great. Obviously good getting that touchdown in and getting everything going.
You just a second touchdown to Cole. It came wide open in the back of the end zone. Was that a low to high read, or what did you have there?
Yeah, so we practiced it throughout the whole week, and Cole did a great job because him and I made an adjustment with his route, before the game, and so he did a great job with that, and then. So I knew they were man. They tried to push the safety over to I believe it was DJ over there, and he was running a slant. So they pushed the safety over to help, and it was supposed to be 1-on-1 corner ball, and then the safety fell off, and then the corner was supposed to fall off, or whatever happened over there. I think they busted coverage, but Cole did a great job going up and getting it.
You just became the first rookie quarterback for the Bears to score 4 passing touchdowns in a single game since 1999.
Yeah.
What do you credit with your early success?
Offensive line, coaching, progress, the leadership on this team. For me, the constant mindset of keep going, and then I think us getting out there and getting our momentum going, us getting out there and executing, us believing in each other, is what you credit it to.
All right, man.
First of all, we had people in the chat talking about the suit.
I was just going to say, I wasn't too sure about the suit jacket, boys. You know, really, it was like 1980s double-breasted jacket. Looked like he took it from like his dad or something. Do you know, like when you're right young, you had to go for like a job interview and you didn't really own a suit. So you had to like borrow a friend or your dad or something. It did look a little bit like that.
It seems like fashion-wise, things always come. Like I was watching college football Saturday, and they panned the crowd, the student section, and I'm like seeing kids wearing stuff that would have been big in the 90s, and I'm like, okay, if this stuff's coming back, I mean, that's cool. I don't know if I could pull off.
Did he say 4 touchdowns? Rookie quarterback, 4 touchdowns in a game since 1999. Was that Bears or all of NFL?
I think it was Bears.
Okay, so I'm trying to think back of who was a rookie in 1999. Would that be Grossman?
Well, earlier they said that he was the first one. It was since Cade McNown. Something about Cade McNown.
Cade McNown. Yeah, that would be McNown. Yeah, it would have been McNown. And McNown was.
I had saw that on the broadcast.
McNown had four touchdowns, huh?
But I do got to say, listening to a quarterback breaking down what he's seeing in front of him after we went through it with Mitch, where, I got to watch the tape. We went through it with Justin, who was athletic as heck and had a lot of, sometimes he played well, sometimes he had issues, but to listen to him break down what the safety's doing, what the corner's doing, who's going where and how this is coming open is so freaking refreshing as a Bears fan. Yeah. We've seen it north of the cheddar curtain for years and years, their quarterbacks being able to read what our defense is doing, even our great defenses. And to finally hear, not only see them breaking it down, but hear them talking about it and knowing what he's looking at, it's absolutely incredible. If you guys want to talk.
I mean, I think as well, like some of the passes what Calais made today, there's no way Fields would have made some of them touchdown passes. Not a fucking chance. No, not a chance. And the thing as well is he's consistent. There's no big loads.
Not even just touchdown passes. Tooch talked about earlier the one he zipped into Keenan Allen between a linebacker and a corner. Like, forget about it. That
was a fastball, man.
Yeah. So it's sort of like
the needle.
Sorry, Tooch. But you sort of feel like, he's consistent. He's consistent. He's just getting better and better. But his play is not up and down like Fields was. Like Fields would have like an all right game maybe one week. And then the next game would be absolutely terrible. When I saw him against the Vikings last year in person, he was absolutely terrible. Like, I'm on about terrible. It would just like, I just don't get it. But, just that's off to him, man. And I imagine, even though we all take the mick out of that jacket, it probably cost a fortune.
The barkeeper is here, Aaron.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend coming in to help us. I'm not used to a post-game show. I'm usually I wake up bright and early.
This is my first post-game show ever.
Yeah, I wake up bright and early. I get to talk about what I think I'm gonna see. But
it feels weird talking about something in the past tense because we always predict the game coming up that day. So it's quite weird, but I like a bit of weird.
Yeah, we'll bring in the barkeep right now. How we doing, Aldo? What's going on, brother? Happy Victory Sunday. Bears win, a huge win. Tell me, and I really want to hear from you guys. I love the panel that we have here today because I've only been a fan since 2009 when I met my wife. So Jay Cutler was my guy. I liked him and stuff, but I was a linebacker. I loved Brian Urlacher, but you guys have been through the ringer. How does it feel to see a quarterback go absolutely off, talk about it after the game, and be able to break down what he's looking at? Tell me how you're feeling, Aldo.
I feel great because it really is clear. It's convincing that this guy is a special quarterback. You see it in every aspect of him as an athlete and as a person. Hey, Ant. Hey, everyone else in the chat room. You guys, Tooch, Chris. Awesome, man. I just love the fact that I am in a place where I know that for the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to have a true quarterback who is going to be among the league's best. This guy is just scratching. In terms of what we're seeing, he's just scratching the surface. He has gone well beyond anything that Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields have done. And I'm not saying that to pick on those guys. It's just a reality. His command at the line of scrimmage where he's calling plays, changing plays, and so forth, and his performance of where he's putting balls. He still makes a mistake here and there in both of those aspects, but it is so much farther ahead than any of those other recent quarterbacks we've had when they left. So he's starting like at a level that they were when they left, and then how he handles himself in the press conferences and like you were saying, AC, his recall of plays. That's a mark of a true great athlete. Whether it's basketball, football, hockey, what have you, is that they can go back and recall a play like it's a movie happening inside their mind. And that's another sign that this guy is truly, truly special. I love what I'm seeing, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to wear the Super Bowl hat because I might be alive for another one.
I mean, if we can get her done, that'd be awesome. The one thing, though, you talked about him in his press conference, and obviously it's awesome to hear him and like a video in his mind playing things out. And I just said it, but what my wife, Mallory, she loves seeing him on the field. We're loving everything we're seeing on the field, but in the press conferences, the amount of that he puts out, my wife is like, it drives me nuts. I'm just like, well, he's young, he's trying to gather his thoughts, so I understand it, but man, does he say an awful lot, or sure things like that. He says that a lot too. But,
there's people already nicknaming him Caleb Williams.
I haven't seen that yet, but
apparently, though, I read somewhere that if somebody says a lot, it means a sign of intelligence because they're trying to work out what they really want to say, and and they're trying to communicate the thoughts properly. So, I don't really mind it, but that's what I read anyway. It could
maybe that's why I don't say it a whole lot. I don't know, but Tooch, how are you feeling about this quarterback?
Well, this is my 50th year of being a Bears fan. Aldo might have a few years on me, but yeah, I really like the development so far. Football IQ is higher than the past few quarterbacks that we've had. What worries me, though, I still think the offensive line is an issue, and I know I'm always going to throw a wet blanket on shit. But there's we don't play a division game until week 11, and then after that it's like 6 of 8 division games. That's going to be awfully tough. They're going to blitz the hell out of him. They're going to test everything, everything that he's learned up until these division games.
Oh yeah, Brian Flores will be the ultimate test again. He will, because he makes people, experienced quarterbacks not know what they're looking at.
Exactly.
6 of our last games are against division opponents. 6 of our last 8 games are against division opponents. I think that's going to be a real test for the young quarterback. But, up until those last few games, we got a lot of practice games in here against bad teams, but like Aldo and I said last, was it Wednesday, Aldo, that the Bears are treating bad teams like good teams treat them by beating the hell out of them. And that's something that Aldo and I haven't seen since 85, maybe, Yeah,
it's been a long time. Yeah. To win by these margins is impressive when they're bad teams. So we're not pulling out 1, 2, 3 point wins. we're kicking their asses.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it in the preseason, but we were like, it's preseason, you know, we're not sure what we're gonna see. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it feels good to take it, you know, even and that's what you're gonna hear from fans that aren't Bears fans or even some cynical Bears fans, you know, when you say, well, look what Caleb's doing, they're gonna say, yeah, but it was the Panthers and it was the Jags who you know, they might be the next team to fire their head coach leaving London, but it's crazy though. Do we got any more clips or are we all out of?
Should
be a few more clips of Caleb on his interception.
Perfect.
I got to be better. Definitely frustrating. Definitely had a few words for myself after that, but got the mindset back on track and ready to go for the next drive.
Well, I mean, I think the next 4 drives when you came out, you guys scored on all of those. Did you feel a little extra juice from that specific play?
Yeah, I was a bit pissed off at myself, just because those are passes that I don't miss, that you don't want to miss, and do something like that. And so yeah, I was a bit pissed off after that, and I think resetting myself was important, but still having that in the back of my mind, like can't have that happen again, and let's go out here and go score.
Did that ball hang more than you thought, or was it just an underthrow? Or?
Yeah, no, it hung a little bit more than I wanted to. I put it a little too high, and not far enough. So yeah, definitely got to be better.
You're the second rookie quarterback in London to ever win a game after Trevor Lawrence did so in 2021. Yep. So how did your experience today playing in London compare to the build-up, the conjecture, the discussions going into the game?
Yeah, it was great. You come out here with. You come out here for a week or so, not a week, we were here for a couple of days, Tuesday to now. So you come out for a couple of days, and you're here for, a good amount of time away from your home, away from your bed, my dog, all these different things, and, troubling to sleep on the first 2 days and things like that. So, being able to, take that 8-9 hour flight home with the win, it's just, going into a bye week, it feels great.
Well, yeah. I mean, he said exactly what I saw. He just hung it up there too long, man. I think Chris said it even. You put it toward that pylon a little better, maybe give it a little better ball, and then we're talking about a 5 touchdown game from Caleb Williams, and who knows what
6 if DJ Moore caught that one on the goal line.
Yeah.
Aldo, what do you think of his suit? Sharp, huh?
Yes.
I love the double-breasted suit. Yeah. The very first suit I ever owned was a double-breasted suit. And then the other thing is Matt Eberflus was wearing a really sharp double-breasted when he entered the stadium too. So they were in style. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. All right.
I'm more of a Cole Kmet hoodie, t-shirt, jeans kind of guy.
You know what? There's a place for both, right? AC, don't you like to dress up once in a while? You and Mallory go out and you're like, wearing the something special.
We went to Savannah, Georgia, and it was my birthday. And I love shrimp and grits, but you got to get it down there. It's a staple down there. So she looks online, and this place has excellent reviews, says best shrimp and grits in the city. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. It was at the end of a beach day. So we walk into this place in shorts and sandals, tank tops. We walk into this place, and everyone in there looks like they just came off freaking Wolf of Wall Street in suits and evening gowns. And I'm like, oh my God, what have we done? So they put me. There's no dress code, so they couldn't really say, hey, you guys got to go. So they put me way in the back in the dark. And my wife tells this story all the time because they give you a tablet to order your drinks on and stuff. But I thought it was like a seating tablet or something. So she sits us down. She starts to walk away. I'm like, ma'am, you forgot your tablet. And she's like, oh, it's kind of like that bless your heart type thing. And I just felt like the biggest, dumbest Larry the Cable Guy redneck in that daggone place. And I was just like, you know what? I'm a barn girl guy. From now on, heck with this. I mean, I'll wear a suit if we're going to a wedding or something, but take me to a B-dubs any day of the week over a fancy.
I hear you.
And,
I can remember when I first started trying to go out in Leeds in the city centre, and there were like myself and 3 friends, and this would have been like the late 80s, and everybody used to sort of wear suits to go out. You had to get quite dressed up. And so me and my friends all wore like a shirt and tie. And I just remember trying to get into this one pub, and the bouncer on the door just said, don't you lads think you should be doing your own work tonight, lads? Instead of letting us in. We managed to get in a few places, but yeah, it reminds me of first going out where people used to get quite dressed up when I were a kid. So we were only 16.
16.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a comment on what Tooch said about the offensive line, and I agree with him. You know, the offensive line is going to be a long-time work in progress for Ryan Poles. He has to basically reinvent that over the next year or two. He needs to invest some high draft picks.
Absolutely.
He needs to invest in a free agent that's going to cost a little bit more than the free agents he's been signing. Some quality guys, some guys, you know, maybe who are in their mid to late 20s that are just entering the prime, because you need 3 offensive linemen who are Pro Bowl caliber. And then the other 2 can be guys that you've just drafted a year or 2 ago, you know, like, even like Darnell Wright, even though he's a first-round draft pick, you can't expect them to play at a Pro Bowl level his first couple of seasons. So there has to be a lot of development in that area. But the one thing that can happen now, like Caleb was sacked 3 times today. You know, he probably was responsible for one of those, maybe 2 of those. Like, for instance, remember that one play where he side-armed it and the ball hit his Matt Pryor's helmet? You know, that's kind of a fluky thing. I don't know if you can blame that on him, but there's plays like that just sort of happen, that because he's a young guy, you know, he doesn't have that experience to kind of avoid those mistakes. But as he gets better, I think the sack totals against him are going to lessen, and so are the mistakes on plays like the one I just mentioned.
He's making a lot of plays in spite of the line, Aldo.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's what great quarterbacks do. I mean, you look at Joe Burrow gets to a Super Bowl with a line that everybody said, this is the worst line in football. You look at Patrick Mahomes, he got to the Super Bowl. He got clobbered in the Super Bowl, but everybody said was one of the worst in football. So, you know, great quarterbacks can figure out a way to win when they're missing something valuable. Right now, the kid's got everything in terms of weapons, but he just doesn't have that outstanding offensive line.
Part of it is quarterback. Part of it is coaching and scheme. I mean, I watched Matt Stafford playing with neither of his tackles, and his head coach said, okay, this is what and he was missing Puka Nacua and I think Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
So his coach is like, okay, we're going to get this ball out in half a second. I mean, they're running slant routes and screen routes and just things that are getting the ball out of his hand. So part of it is O-line, part of it is the quarterback holding the ball too long, and part of it is coaching. And I really think running the ball is helping these offensive linemen get comfortable in what they're asked to do. Now, I've been a president or vice president of the Braxton Jones fan club for a couple of years now, but I'm thinking it's time to move on from him this offseason. Maybe that'll be our first round draft pick this year. I'm sure Danny's already looking into it, but there's a guy from LSU who's high on draft. There's a guy from Texas is probably. I mean, if we keep winning games, that's the only thing. The more games you win, the further down that board you fall. It's hard to find one of those guys, but you are absolutely right, Aldo. We need to invest in the offensive line. Otherwise, our quarterback's going to be killed, and that's not going to matter how good or bad he can read defenses if he's getting clobbered.
I mean, which position of the offensive line would you like to sort of change? You know, first of all, would it be the left tackle? Or would you start? Or you know, I was wondering, you know, which position you guys think is the most urgent one we need to replace?
Yeah, I'm with AC. I think that the left tackle, you know, the Braxton Jones experiment is beginning to expire, and if Karan Amagaje is looking good in practice, maybe it's a good time to let him play some snaps after the bye. Put him in, you know, like they've done with offensive linemen and earlier games, not only this season but last season, where they rotated offensive linemen to get them acclimated, to ramp them up, and that way you get a look at Amagaja to see if he could play the left tackle. Could he play it better than Braxton? Likely not, but maybe so. Maybe he's just better at anchoring and not allowing those bull rushes that have plagued Braxton. So there's a chance, that we could see a new left tackle soon after the bye. But to answer your question, yeah, I would start on the left side of the line for sure.
I think Jason UK Bears brought up a big point here. I mean, the last 2 years in a row, Poles has traded at the trade deadline for one that didn't work in Chase Claypool and one that has worked out beautifully in Montez Sweat. We got 2 second-round picks, one of which is the Panthers. I would like to hold on to that one, obviously, but he brings up maybe a trade target at the trade deadline. I haven't looked deep into it to see if and there's probably not a left tackle available. But maybe you can find a center or something, or someone that can be an interior guy if you're not completely comfortable.
You didn't
with
watch
Matt
Bare Their Souls on Wednesday because we talked about acquiring Quentin Nelson, Aldo's guy.
You guys are up too late for me on this show. Your boy gets up at 4:30 in the morning. I'll just be honest with you. I listen Spotify when as much as I can, but yeah, it's a late show for me.
Well, let me ask you guys, because Danny Shinman reported it on Buffon 55 on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I mentioned it on Bare Their Souls, and then I'm starting to see it all over social media, not because it was a Barroom Network thing, but probably whatever source Danny got it from started sharing it with other sources. And so, yeah, there is speculation at least that the Bears might be interested in trading for Quentin Nelson if the Colts lose their next game or two and start a fire sale. The trading deadline is the first week in November, and so Quentin Nelson might be a logical guy to trade, but they're not going to trade him for just 1 second rounder, because why would you do that with a guy that you're under contract? He's going to be 28, 29 years old. You need protection for your young quarterback. So it would, in my mind, it would take probably both second rounders that the Bears possess, and maybe even throwing in. Well, yeah, have Nate Davis, please. We'll even pay for salary.
Thank you.
I mean, if they'll take Nate Davis in a second, I'll send it to them. I don't know about both seconds. I feel like me and Danny Shinman are a lot alike. He may be more trained in reading tape, but I want to build this thing through the draft. I want guys that are 22 years old coming in. I loved Tevin Jenkins, but the guy can't stay healthy. We were able, and it's the Panthers, I guess, but Bill Murray came in and played well, when he had to for Tevin. So I don't know if it's maybe we're making a big deal out of nothing. Maybe we're not. I mean, I don't know. We'll see going forward. I mean, we got 2. You talk about the Washington game. That's what they kept was their defensive tackles. So the interior offensive line is going to be something big, and you start getting pass rush in Caleb's face there, and it's difficult.
We don't need anybody. We got this guy.
There you go.
It's one of my favorite gifts is him putting the bear down hat on. But
that's a fact, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wonder what the price would be for Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, I gotta believe it's multiple picks.
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
He's kind of one of the staples of their team still, right? I mean, I'm assuming he's the captain, so
absolutely. I think that's just speculation. Somebody is sitting down looking at all the teams that are losing. Okay, these are the teams most likely to start selling some of their players. So they're probably just speculating, Colts, because of their dismal record and performance. And Nelson probably seems like a likely candidate because he could bring back a lot. And replacing a guard by some people isn't always considered such a difficult thing. I remember Shane Marsaw used to say, I can find you a guard in the third, fourth, fifth round.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it takes him 3-4 years to develop. The thing about Quentin Nelson is he's plug and play. Take him out of Notre Dame and put him in that left guard and let's go.
I mean, you could probably take a lot of guys straight out of Notre Dame and put them on your own line, and they're going to be good.
True.
True. One thing Notre Dame's going to have is O-line and running back. That running back they got in there now is
and tight ends too.
Kyron Williams lighting it up in the Rams.
And Tooch, we were talking Saturday about your Iowa running back. That might be a guy to keep an eye on.
Really like him, man. Caleb Johnson, good little player too. If you can't get Ashton Jonte, you can. Caleb would look pretty good in a
about video game numbers. That guy from Boise State is.
I don't remember, what did he have last night?
He's over 1,000 yards into the fifth game.
The prop was his over under for rushing yards last night was 180 something. That's like, okay, he's got to get close to 200.
His yards per carry is the first down, isn't it?
10 yards per carry, something like that. Yeah.
Chris, have you seen this kid from Boise State?
I haven't, no, but I remember you talking about it on your Wednesday night show.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But I mean, would we take a running back in the draft? Because we're sort of stacked there, aren't we, a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do
at
with
217 yards.
We'll draft him. Let's draft the kid.
That's the thing about this kid is that he seems, bad offensive line proof. It's because nobody tackles him on the first time. His yards after contact are unbelievable. And I'm not saying you don't need an offensive lineman, but this guy could be an exception.
The quarterback also had 217 yards, but he passing.
Yeah.
There's a new meme out there about Ashton Genty because the way he stands in the backfield, he's just standing upright. He's not like the athletic stance or anything. It's like he stands in the backfield like he's Michael Myers, looking at his like he's about to just take his team out. Like it's crazy to see though. But do we got any more clips? I feel like we're running out of time.
Come on, little Keenan Allen, and we have Aldo loaded all these clips. We got Fluce's closing comments too. So
okay.
Keenan.
Yeah, we starts with too high defense. Once we get too high, I'm one-on-one with the middle linebacker. We've been working on that throw since OTAs. So today we was able to put it on film and make it happen.
Keenan, you've been a part of some incredible wide receiver rooms throughout your career. Where does this room rank compared to some of those others?
It's up at the top for sure. From top to bottom, tight ends, running backs, receivers, obviously, and then you got a quarterback like Caleb. I think we can be real special.
The command that he had, the way that both of your touchdowns, just like a perfectly placed pass.
Mm-hmm.
What does that speak to just like his command of the offense, but particularly knowing where to put the ball?
Yeah, he was obviously in a rhythm after the first couple drives, and 5 incompletions, I think it was. You can tell. He's just dotting them up. Even the fourth down ball, the slant, it was a dot. So yeah, when he's in a groove like that and all the balls are catchable, then it's pretty easy to play receiver.
He said he was pissed off about the interception.
Yeah.
And that kind of fueled him like a little extra going in. Could you sense that?
Yeah, absolutely. When he came back the next drive after the turnover, just hear him kind of give out a let's go. You could tell he wasn't like down. He didn't lose any confidence. So I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then just bing, bam, boom, we went all the way down the field.
You know really, really well what good quarterback play looks like from your career. What is clicking for Caleb? How significant are the steps that he's taken the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think just his growth. Just week in, week out, he gets better. Obviously when we pick up the tempo, he's a lot more comfortable. He's able to see things faster, and the defense can't do all the moving around and stuff. So it benefits us.
Keenan,
I love that bing bang boom.
There's that hoodie again, man.
I know they're trying to sell.
I love it. I'm trying to find it, man.
Hey, Chris, it sounded like you were asking one of the questions at that press conference.
Well, I'm just thinking, who are these English guys who are asking the questions? How come I'm not asking them the questions? What's going on? You get a press pass.
I'll tell you one thing, they were all smarter than our Chicago reporters.
Well, I don't want to say anything, boys.
It's a low bar. It's a low bar.
I hate to pick on our Chicago reporters, but lately, man, they've been irritating the crap out of me with this stupid question. What does that say about your team when you make? what do you think he's going to say? It says that we suck,
Yeah.
It's like, come on, ask about a particular play. How did it happen? How did it work, and so forth. I wish I would have pulled one sound by Cole Kmet. I know you played Cole already, and he was talking about when he was told about being a center. And then a little later, somebody asked him again in a different way, and he was asked, did you see the injury to the other center? And can you tell us about it? He goes, no, I really didn't see it, but I was on the sideline, and one of the players came over to me and said that the center's hurt. And I said, oh, okay, well, how's that affect me? He goes, you better take some snaps. And then he goes, oh, yeah, I'm the backup.
Actually, shout out to Berlissimo. If you follow him on X, he had a video of Kmet doing his practice snaps on the sideline where he was in the stands. So
pretty cool.
Nice.
I got to say, I could listen to Keenan Allen narrate a freaking instructional pamphlet. I mean, he talks so smooth, like, and of course, he's got an incredible beard and a beautiful hoodie that he's wearing. But I thought it was great to hear him and talk about the talent on this team, from top to bottom. And we've all talked about it, and having your quarterback on a rookie contract is part of the reason why you're able to do that. And I feel like a big part of the reason why Justin Fields is no longer here. I hate to bring up the past, but I mean, what these quarterbacks are getting paid, and to have Caleb on a rookie deal, you're able to bring in a ton of talent, and it all seems to be gelling. It is slow starts. I could do without all the slow starts. You do that against a good team, and they could get up on you a couple of touchdowns, and then there goes your running game. There goes a lot of your plans. So that's the only gripe I've had of these Bears the last couple of weeks is slow starts. But luckily we've been able to hold on. You want to play the last clip, Toots?
Yeah. Yep. Here we go.
Between Josh Blackwell coming in a pinch and Cole Kmet coming in a pinch like he did, because Josh does that all week, and Cole probably not very much. Is that from your perspective? Is that a little bit of a different? Is there a different?
Yeah, Cole. We practice that every Thursday. He gets the short snaps and long snaps every Thursday. It's part of our routine that we have because he is the backup. So he does a good job with those guys. A couple snaps were high, but he did a good job.
How big of an impact did DeAndre Swift make both running and receiving?
Very big, very big. The big thing about Swift is just get him out in space, because then he can be electric. And he's running the ball. I was really pleased how he ran the ball today. I think it was in the 5s, and I think their run average was in the low 4s, I believe. So it was both good on both regards in terms of the average. But you need some explosives, and you got to limit those on defense. And I thought we did that on both sides of the ball today. But again, that's the perimeter blocking, the line finishing everything they do, and playing the way we play.
Two more. The interception that Caleb threw could have been pivotal in the game. What did it do for you guys that your defense came out there and got a 3-and-out right away? And how does that speak to the blueprint that you and Ryan had in place for a rookie quarterback coming in?
Yeah, just, we understand that might happen on occasion. And that was a shot that we took. That should be our ball or no one's. But they ended up coming up with and made a nice play on it, and our defense responded. I always talk to the guys about responding. Complementary football is about helping the other person out. So when something happens, or good or bad, you take advantage of the great opportunity and make it even better. Or when something happens that we just was unforeseen, then they rise up to the occasion and help the other person out, other group out. And that's what complementary football is.
3 wins in a row. You're 4-2. Your quarterback's playing well. How do you feel right now about the direction the Bears are going?
I think we're in a good spot. I really do. I think we got a lot of improvement to do. But for the first 6 games, I think we're in a good spot. And we have to get our minds and our bodies and everything right to go on to these next 6 games, starting with the first one.
Elijah Hicks had a big game today in some important times. How important is it to have a character like that in the defense?
It's great. It's great. You have a guy that's in a backup role that's working his butt off on special teams, and then he gets his opportunity, and then you see him perform like that. Even Blackwell, Jalen Jones, all those guys. It's always good to see that because they're working at it just like everybody else. And when they get their opportunity and they seize that opportunity and play well, it's always fun to see.
Aldo
First
had to
off,
take off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Aldo had to take off. Thank you for coming on and giving us all those clips and stuff. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Flus is a numbers guy who talked about the yards per carry average. I forget what quarterback rating. He looks at all stuff he looks at and stuff.
I got to tell you, man.
Just coach
when I
ball.
hear him talk about his players, that's why they buy into him. This dude, to me, I see issues, with the challenge. I see issues with time management in close games. I see issues with some of his decision making. But then he comes out there, and the way he takes up for his players and even makes like a friendly little jab at it, like he did with Cole Kmet. We practice that every Thursday with the long snaps and the short snaps. He had a couple of high ones, but it was, the little jabs that you would do with your friend. Like if I was talking about you guys, I'd say, well, Tooch is all right for an Iowan, but but that's just the way people are. But that's why.
Yeah.
That's why he's still our coach. I mean, I'm assuming he's like that with Ryan, but Ryan Poles sees the way he is with his team, and I think that's why they keep him around. But I mean, maybe it'll work out, and I'll be wrong, and I'll sit over here and eat my plate of crow while he brings up hoist the Lombardi Trophy. But yeah, I mean, I love the way he talks about his players, and it really feels like a close-knit group, almost like a family. You'll never hear him throw anyone under the bus. Even when Velus Jones did his thing, he was like, I was just proud of him for going out there and giving it his all. But Velus has had to pay for it. He's been inactive since then. But
I think Casey regarding influence is that a sign of a good coach or a good leader is that they unify people, they bring people together and make him gel as a unit. And I think that's one of his strengths as well, that, like you were saying, how he sort of knows his own players and the characters of the players, and, how he sort of speaks about them in the press conference. To me, that's one of the biggest sort of signs of a good leader, is that, you unify people. That's what a good leader should do, regardless if it's in a job or a politician. That's a little bit probably risky to say to you Americans at the moment, but to me that shows that the guys will fight for him, and they have to. I mean, even like when we had all them losses, they still played hard for the guy.
Absolutely, and never lost the locker room.
And that's got to be down to the relationships he's built up, individually of each player in that team. So that's up to the guy, man. I'm starting to warm to the guy now, really. You know what I mean? I was sort of this time last year, I was thinking I'm going to get rid of him in the off season, but he's growing on me, man. And just keep going. What you're doing, mate.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Tooch? About the closing comments there from Flus?
I agree with Matt Facchisi. I like him a lot after a win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's still some stuff, like you said, AC, that Flus could work on. As far as the challenges and the time management, and maybe there's something he can do about us starting slow. So maybe if he's got to shake things up, whether it's in the coaches' meetings or with the play calling and getting on the other guys. Suggestions for running the ball more, whatever, just to shake things up, maybe. But I still I'm still out. I'm still undecided on Flus. I don't know whether I'm in or out.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on that as well.
Do you worry with seeing Caleb continue to ascend?
Yeah.
Is there any chance that Waldron gets a call this offseason? Hey, come be our head coach, and then you're back at squad. I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah, I know, because it always happens.
As of the way that we played the Colts, I know it sounds absolutely insane even coming out of my mouth. But if this guy gets the call and they say, well, we liked what you did with Caleb, we liked what you did with Geno, we liked what you've been under a lot of head, Belichick, Pete Carroll, I guess for Flus. etc. If he gets that call, then you're right back at square one, which is the whole reason why I wanted to go get an offensive-minded head coach to pair with your rookie quarterback. Yeah, I mean, it's and Heidi Zimmerman hopping in saying, "Hey, we're close out. You're coming in all late," but I mean, usually to close out the show for the Barfly Tailgate Show, we give our score prediction, bowl prediction, MVP, and hit shout outs. I don't know how to close this one out, fellas. I mean, I guess we can hit shout outs and then get on out here. I'll start with Tooch and go to Chris, and then I'll close this out if you want to start us off.
Yeah, like I said, I want to thank Aldo for hopping on with us and loading clips for us. I was trying to figure out during the show, like the beginning of the show, I'm like, I know Flus has got a press conference. I want to kind of break in here and share my screen, but I couldn't find it. I mean, where are they broadcasting this? I don't know where he got it. He must have gotten it off of X or something. But thanks to Aldo for jumping on with us, all the Barflies who did decide to join us for our first post game. Yeah, and then you guys for everything. And, we got a lot of stuff coming up here. Tomorrow there'll be Mike North advantage.
And Greg Gabriel.
Yep, Gabriel talks football. And then all the other shows, John Buffone on Tuesday, Bare Their Souls on Wednesday.
Are they going to go this
Mac
week?
It's
bye week.
Thursday. Yeah,
just going to break down the mid-season thing, or
I'm sure. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I assume we'll have a full. I could be wrong, but I assume we'll have a full schedule.
Yeah.
Would have thought so.
Maybe next week will be some time off. Maybe.
Maybe. All right, C-Dub, hit your shout outs, brother.
First shout out to you boys. I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy after today's victory. I mean, I stopped smiling for about at least 2 hours, which is very unusual for me because I'm usually quite a miserable bastard. But shout out. It's true, you know me. Shout out to Aldo coming on the show. That was such a cool surprise. And thanks to the clips. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Like a little shout out is to Jason UK Bears. He's my co-host on the British Bears show, so you can catch us on that. I think it's 3 p.m. Central on a Tuesday. So we go live around that time. So we're starting to build up a bit of an audience, which is really nice, and that's on the Bears Country Productions YouTube channel. It's just been a fucking awesome afternoon, man. Really, I'm so glad the Bears won in my country, and I'm so glad that the British Bears fans showed the world that we know the football and we're passionate about the Bears. We love the Bears just as much as you guys in America. So it's just been an awesome afternoon, and also as well, I'm making a little bit of a surprise guest appearance on Bare Your Soul. So unfortunately, Tooch, you're gonna have to put up with me for another night this week.
All right, yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah,
mate, I can't wait.
Did I ever tell you one time I went to a soccer game with Baralissimo, and it was April and it was really cold. And I was like, well, what do we got to, get some hot cocoa? They had Bisto, that's like a beef broth for me to drink. And I think I had like a steak and ale pie with, beef and onions and a pastry. It's really good.
I don't know if it was Billings that said this or if I had heard this somewhere else, but there was a really cold game. I think it was in Chicago, and the Gatorade bucket, instead of being full of Gatorade, was full of chicken broth, like chicken noodle soup. So they were able to scoop that out of there to help.
Yeah,
I was wondering where I heard that from.
What they were serving at Hotspur Stadium today. I saw some people eating some stuff in the stands, but it probably was different than what we get in America.
Well, Rich Eisen mentioned that it was cold. He was saying it was in the 40s or something.
Oh yeah.
But who knows? Maybe it was 85 degrees out there, huh?
Yeah. Also, the food what you have over in, like when I went to Soldier Field last year, is miles better than what you get at soccer games. It's usually like you said, it's usually either meat pie. You don't really know what sort of meat it is. Really crappy French fries or really crappy sort of cheap hot dogs. You do better for the food over there at your sporting events, man. I'm telling you. And also as well, you can't drink as well in the ground, can you? At soccer games, you see, you can do it at an NFL game. So because people are just mental, but yeah.
Well, Chris, wild. we have great food in America, but we pay for it with our life expectancy. So it's it's a give and take, you know.
Sure is. Being an Englishman, I know not to mention food, religion, or politics with you guys. I'll subjects. I want to be on safe ground with you all.
I'll hit my shout outs. First of all, shout out to you guys for coming on and helping me break this down. Like you said, Tooch, my first ever post game show. I didn't know what I was in for, but I just knew I didn't want to go live at 6 o'clock this morning. So thought this worked out better for us. Shout out to Aldo for coming in, loading up the clips for us, and coming in and chatting a little bit. It was great to get his perspective on the Bears. Like I said earlier, I love having this panel because, you know, Chris, I hear it all the time from my family. Like, how, you have the English guy on there. Like, how did he become a Bears fan? I'm like, well, in the 80s, the Bears went over there and Walter Payton was a god. So, you know, you just kind of fall into line with that. And Tooch has been a Bears fan forever. So it's awesome to hear your guys' perspective. You know, you guys have been through the ringer, as I said. You only get a few good years before it goes bad for a long time. And it feels like the arrow was pointing up for the Bears, which is awesome. It's incredible.
Right. We don't have to talk about the Vanderbilt Kentucky game either.
What game was that? I can't remember.
There was no game.
Now, you want to talk about coaches that piss me off that I respect? That's Marcus Stoops. I love the guy. He's changed
Vanderbilt's
Kentucky.
Better than people think.
I love Mark Stoops. He's changed Kentucky, but he makes decisions in game that always seem to. It's like when we lose, it's always close. And it always comes down to like one or two coaching decisions that could have gone different, that you could have got the win for. But Kentucky, they had a blackout and then they were all fired up, and it showed on the field because they were just doing uncharacteristic, undisciplined things. I mean, Dane Key does a first down or does a big, celebration after a 5-yard catch, gets a 15-yard penalty. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And then we dropped 2 balls while we're kicking field goals. The holder dropped 2 balls, an extra point and a field goal. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't know. But the chat gets upset when I talk college football, too. Why are you doing this to me as I'm trying to close this out?
I had to get your perspective a little bit. Yeah,
I haven't even had time to gather my thoughts on that game yet.
Who'd have thought Vanderbilt beat Alabama and Kentucky in back-to-back weeks, man?
Crazy. Do they play Georgia this year? That'd be something.
I know. I'm checking their schedule now. Like, who they got next? Shit.
I do want to say, though, while we got people in the chat, please hit the like. We'd appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe to the Ballroom Network. Heidi, you said you didn't know we were live. Well, if you hit the little notification bell, it'll tell you the Ballroom goes live, and you'll be able to say, "Oh, AC's live. Let me check in on him." It's not just anyway. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe to the Ballroom, and it'll tell you when
Ball
we go
State
live.
next week, but after that, they're playing number 1 Texas on the 26th.
How crazy would it be if Vanderbilt is like this David and Goliath story that just continues to? Is it at Texas or at Vandy?
They're home versus Texas.
Oh, so Texas has got to make that trip that Alabama made last weekend. Oh, we'll see how it goes. I thought the funniest thing about Vanderbilt beating Alabama, though, is when they were rushing the field, it showed the fans coming onto the field. And every one of them were like taking the stairs and like holding on to the, like when I went to Kentucky, Florida, and we beat them for the first time in 30 years.
Got them next weekend in the Swamp.
When we rushed the field, I jumped over the freaking barricade and rushed the field. I'm not taking the stairs. But
next weekend, Wildcats at the Gators.
Yeah, I mean, the Gators all of a sudden look like they can do something. I don't understand it. But we'll see how all that goes. And I hadn't planned on doing a show next week. I kind of wanted to take the bye week off. So
we'll come back the week after.
Yeah, we'll come back
got
the
a big
week after that.
honeydew list myself, but
Hey, that's this when you get caught up is on the bye week for sure. But we'll come back the week after that and we'll talk the big showdown of Caleb versus Jaden that everyone else is going to talk about. We'll see if it gets pushed in either direction. I don't know, but I'm just excited. The Bears look good. We're 4-2. The whole division might look good, but it is what it is. I mean, all you can do is handle what you can handle. And until 2 weeks from now, we'll just leave everybody with a bear down.
Bear down.
Down.